The first game of the NFL season is officially in the books, and the defending Super Bowl champions have been taken down by the up-and-coming Detroit Lions in a game that could have gone either way. The Lions are flying home 1-0, winning 21-20 in Arrowhead, and looked really solid in this game. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs did do some things that actually really surprised me, both offensively and defensively. But overall, I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. And, I don't think Chiefs fans should sit here and, hit the panic button. Don't be worried at all. Things will get better. And I think there's a thing, called the Super Bowl hangover where, and even happens in the NBA, where a team comes off a championship win and they just come off to a slow start. And these things happen. This does not surprise me at all. And there was a lot of X factors in this game that, I don't want to make excuses for the Chiefs, but there were a lot of things in this game that just were going downhill and things were not looking great. And they still were in this game and only lost by 1 point. And I actually think that is really, really surprising to me when I think the Lions could have easily won this game by, double-digit points. They only won by 1. And, yes, maybe this was a game that should have been won by the Chiefs, but a lot of things were learned. And I know one thing for sure. They're going to fix all the problems, all the mistakes. They're going to correct everything. When you have a coach like Andy Reid and a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be in contention for the Super Bowl. I mean, it is what it is. As long as they're healthy, as long as they're there, they're going to be in the mix. Now, another thing we have to take into consideration, guys, they were missing 2 of their best players. And, we knew that coming into the game. I guess Travis Kelce was more of a guy who was questionable heading into the game, heading into the morning, and then he was, ultimately deemed as out. But I mean, listen, if they had a couple of these guys in terms of Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, I mean, this game could have went completely in a different direction. And in this video, I'm going to break down why the Kansas City Chiefs and their fan base shouldn't be worried at all. But most importantly, why this team still has what it takes to win another Super Bowl. And, right off the bat, I want to go back to this point. I want to reiterate the point that, there was a lot of anxiety in this Chiefs team. I mean, for example, or, mainly because they were missing 2 of their best players, Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. And, as we know, these guys are, insanely productive. I mean, just look at Travis Kelce's numbers from, last season. He put up over 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. I mean, when you're missing out on a guy, when you don't have a guy who had 12 touchdown catches last season, which was a career high, when you don't have that while also losing Mecole Hardman and, Juju Smith-Schuster, you need a red zone target. And with them missing him, it really affected how they utilize this offense. And we could tell right when the game started, things were looking a lot different in terms of, how they were going to not only run this offense, but who is going to play. And then when you look at the other side of the ball, Chris Jones, one of the most impactful defensive linemen in all of football, a defensive tackle who, had 15 and a half sacks last season. When you're missing that type of production, that is going to allow the opposing team to not only have more time in the pocket, but also have more time and more, a better schematic ability to run the ball and find openings in the defense. I feel like that was just something that really helped the Lions get more time in the pocket, have more time to go through their progressions, and just drop some easier plays to get this offense running smoothly. Now, for the Chiefs, I feel like they weren't terrible in this game. Like we said, they only lost by 1 in a game where, Patrick Mahomes threw over 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and, he did have an interception. But guys, again, don't panic about this interception. If you guys remember the play at all, it went right through the hands of Kadarius Toney. Should have been an easy completion. And, Toney's a guy I really want to sit here and talk about for a second because the man had a ton, and I mean a ton, of drops. The man was targeted 5 times. I think 3 of those went right through his hands and just dropped him. So he did not look good at all. I know he's coming off an injury, but that is not something you want to see out of one of your main wide receivers. And another thing, Sky Moore. I mean, where was he? He had 1 carry for 4 yards, targeted 3 times. I don't think a ball came his way until the 3rd quarter, which was something I was not expecting to see either. I mean, with Travis Kelce being out, I thought this was going to be, I thought Sky Moore was going to come in and have an incredible day. But there wasn't a wide receiver on this team that had more than 3 catches. And surprisingly, the leading receiver, and I mean receiver, I don't mean tight ends, I don't mean running backs involved, but the leading receiver on this team was Rashee Rice, a rookie, a second-round draft pick this season, and he actually had a touchdown as well. And the second touchdown went to Blake Bell. So they had a bunch of guys who came in and did produce at a solid level, nothing crazy. But, what this showed me and what this game really told me was, maybe they're not too confident in 2 wide receivers, or this could mean that they're extremely confident in all of their wide receivers. Now, I don't really know which direction it is, but when you look at the snap count for this game, Sky Moore had 45 snaps, right? 29 routes run. Like I said, 3 targets, 0 catches. Not something you want to see. Maybe he wasn't getting open, but obviously we know, sitting back, if he was open, Mahomes would have found him. MVS, another guy, 41 snaps, 33 routes run. He had 2 catches. He had a pretty decent game, had 1 big catch as well. Richie James, 23 snaps. Rashee Rice, 20 snaps. Kadarius Toney, 16. Justin Watson, 19. Justin Ross, 6. So, all of these guys got targets, and all of these guys were utilized at a fair level. And I think this might be something that we see for the foreseeable future. I think a bunch of these guys are going to touch the field. I think a bunch of these guys are going to get targets. And, I don't know. What side of the fence do you guys lean on? Do you think that they're extremely confident in their entire receiving core, or do you think they're maybe, uncertain about their top 2 guys and just want to mix everyone in until they find a good group that works together? Now, in terms of the running back room, it seems like there's going to be a running back by committee, just like how they're doing a committee by wide receiver, or wide receiver by committee. Isaiah Pacheco, 31 snaps. Jerick McKinnon, 20 snaps. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 14 snaps. I feel like this was interesting. We knew coming in that it was going to be primarily Isaiah Pacheco to get the bulk of the snaps, the bulk of the carries, and then we knew coming in as well that Jerick McKinnon was going to be, getting the bulk of third down plays, and that's primarily what we saw. But what we didn't account for is, or at least me, was Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco kind of splitting snaps. It seems like they did it by drive, but things are subject to change. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, very high draft pick a couple of years back. They want to get him involved, but Isaiah Pacheco is, I personally think, the better running back on the team. Maybe he didn't have the greatest night in terms of running the football, but he did provide 4 catches for 31 yards and was, pretty solid, didn't drop a pass, was just very solid. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 6 carries, 22 yards, 3.7 a carry. Pacheco, 8 carries for 23 yards. Not too bad, or not too great. And then their leading rusher was Patrick Mahomes. So obviously missing Travis Kelce really did hurt them, and I think with him back, they'll be such a better football team. But you got to take into consideration that they were missing 2 of their best players, not only offensively but defensively as well. I might be a little bit concerned about this wide receiver core. I thought Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney were going to be a lot better, and I do expect them to be better going forward. And if the Chiefs have to rely on MVS and Justin Watson and maybe Noah Gray throughout the season, maybe things will get a little bit dicey and a little bit scary, and who knows, maybe they'll make a trade down line. But overall, I don't see this offense as being, I'm not too concerned. I think Sky Moore will be better. I think Kadarius Toney will be better. Defensively, the Chiefs looked really, really good, if you're asking me. Second year cornerback Trent McDuffie looked insanely good. Last year he took over the primary slot role late into the season and into the playoffs, which just continued tonight. He had a significant impact in that role, forcing a fumble as the Lions were entering the red zone in the second quarter on Marvin Jones. He also recorded 8 tackles and 3 defensive stops, and I think PFF graded him over 75 on his first game, which is actually really, really good. But overall, guys, don't panic. The Chiefs last year ranked number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards per game, number 2 in third down conversion percentage, number 2 in fourth down conversion percentage, number 2 in red zone scoring, number 2 in touchdowns per game. Don't panic. This is fine. This is going to be okay. And, we know what I think is interesting is last year their defense wasn't great. I feel like their defense looked better today than they did last season. And like I said, they were missing Chris Jones, and they were missing some guys that could really help them this season. In terms of guys they lost in the offseason, like Juan Thornhill was gone. But some of these guys look really good. Like I said, Trent McDuffie looked good. Brian Cook looked good. The young safety, Nick Bolton, all over the defense. Mike Dana came in, had a tackle for a loss early in the game, had a sack, had a pass deflection. Mike Dana is a guy who, really shocked me in terms of his play. I mean, a former fifth-round pick out of Michigan. He's 25 years old. And, I mean, he is starting to earn himself a nice little role on this team. And I would not be surprised at all if he is the starter, the full-time starter, as long as, a guy like Chris Jones is out. I feel like Mike Dana, he's not a defensive tackle per se, but he is a guy that can really help out this team in terms of production while Chris Jones is out. Let me know what you guys think, though. I would not be worried. I think this is a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, and I think as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, as long as you have Andy Reid and, Travis Kelce and some of these guys healthy on the team, I think they're going to be okay. I think this is going to be a team that, is fine. Don't worry if maybe they lose week 2, maybe worry, but I think everything is okay. Let me know what you guys think about game 1. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Today's video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and if you love playing fantasy sports like football, basketball, baseball, and so many other sports, but also love being able to win money, you're going to want to stick around for this whole segment. Introducing Underdog Fantasy, the ultimate platform for fantasy sports lovers. Do you want to experience the thrill of drafting your team and competing for huge prizes? Well, look no further. With Underdog Fantasy, you get access to a wide range of fantasy sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and so much more. But here's what makes Underdog Fantasy stand out from all of those other apps. They've got quick and user-friendly drafting process, a unique and exciting game formats, fair and competitive contests for all skill levels, and attractive bonuses and promotions. Not only can you draft teams and compete with others, but you can also play a game of higher and lower, which is personally my favorite thing to do on there, but you can potentially win 20 times the money you put down. And if you use code MattyDubs when you sign up, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. And what that means is basically when you deposit, let's say $100, they'll give you a free $100 to use and play with. Click the link in the description to get started, or head to the website right now to start dominating the fantasy world. And don't miss out on all the fun. Be a part of the Underdog community starting now. And don't forget, if you use code MattyDubs, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Let's get started. Get into drafts with me starting today.